Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vacation Tour Slideshow from MinMax. MinMax is a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hanson. Thank you for being here. I'm joined by Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Do you feel relaxed yet, Sarah?
I was until the bird.
Heads up.
Scary eagle scraw.
This sounds like peaceful Alaskan wilderness, but there are frequent bird attacks and eagle attacks in Alaska, so there might be some bird sounds in this soundtrack every once in a while, so don't be alarmed. This is our show for New Show Plus. Each and every week, we let $10 supporters over there on Patreon vote to choose which new show we create or continue. And honestly, I was surprised that this week an option was just, hey, I could show off a bunch of photos from my honeymoon in Alaska. It was damn near a landslide, which they have frequently in Alaska. It's surprising. It's gonna be a bunch of boring photos of mountains, Sarah.
Are you kidding me? Look at this. There's
You're
some
right.
railroad tracks there.
You're right, there is action in these photos.
Did you walk along them like a,
We did.
like a traveling,
Little Stand By Me. We found a body. It was really cool. This is all building to finding a body in Alaska. We need your help to untangle this mystery. Kyle Hilliard hosted the MinMax Show podcast for the last couple of weeks because I got married, and then we went to Alaska on our honeymoon. So we spent 10 days in Alaska. So that is what these photos are from. So I'm going to walk you through exactly where we went and how this works and why. Basically, Sarah, I'm trying to give you a free vacation to Alaska through this New Show
if
Plus
I don't
experience.
leave this feeling like I've been to Alaska,
Right.
like I wasn't there with you,
I'm
I'm gonna be a little upset.
I get it. I want it to be like 20 years from now, you'll be talking to your grandchildren or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, I think I've been to Alaska, because this episode's gonna be so iconic and memorable that it'll
There's
just...
a lot of landslides and bird attacks and...
That's right. So here's where we went. This is Alaska, everybody. This is a little world tour.
That's huge. It's so scary.
Now, it is massive. Turns out 2.5 times the size of Texas. It ain't no joke. We bought it. Seward, Lincoln Secretary of State, he bought it.
Are you giving us the history of Alaska now?
Yeah. They
did you
bought
buy
it
it from,
They
Ben?
bought it from Russia.
And why did Russia let us have it?
Because they had just been in a couple wars and they needed some cash fash.
Cash fashed. And they didn't even had anything. They thought it was pretty shitty and desolate.
That's right. Honestly,
But it turns out.
And they were worried. They're like, look, this is going to get us in another war with England. England's going to come in and invade this thing. It's going to be a mess. We cannot deal with this right now. We need this cash. Here, we'll give you the land of Alaska. I think it was for $7 million total in 1867. It was like 2 cents an acre. And then it turns out there's a bunch of gold, and it's like the most gorgeous place on earth. And I'd imagine those lousy Russians are kicking themselves, and I felt very good about it, going on this vacation and really enjoying it. So, huge state. Where do you start? What could you possibly do? A lot of people go down to Juneau, the capital, down here, right? Easier access point, shorter flight. Apparently it's beautiful down there. I did not go there. So our strategy was, let's take a thorough tour of one location. So we chose right here. So we chose...
I was like, wait, it doesn't even have a name.
The Kenai Peninsula. So it's not the big Alaskan peninsula, which, I don't know, maybe that's less interesting. I guess I don't know. But the Kenai Peninsula is this little peninsula here. So you fly...
Zoom it out.
Do you like it, everybody?
This one, right here, not this one.
That's right. So we flew into Anchorage, and then went down here, and I'll walk you through all this fun stuff.
Did you drive?
Yeah, so we rented a car.
Ooh.
And then
could you fly direct?
You could
from, like,
it was
MSP?
direct from MSP to Anchorage. And here's the sweet spot, Sarah. Those chumps over at GameStop paid for it because it was all frequent flyer miles from all of my years at Game Informer. So it was a free trip up there, baby.
Oh, nice.
It was lovely. So we got up there, got to Anchorage. It was a solid time. We spent one quick night there, sat in a hot tub doing cool stuff, and then hit the road, got the rental car, and then started driving. And this stretch here is where we're going to start our photo tour, everybody.
Wow, I'm so excited.
Good God. The bird lives.
Watch out for that bird.
So this is just what the road looks like as you're driving away from Anchorage. I mean, Anchorage itself is beautiful with mountains everywhere. You into mountains, Sarah?
Yeah.
Good. I hope so. Just before we start this tour, I want to get a sense of scale of 1 to 10. How interested are you in going to Alaska someday?
I mean, I would love to visit. It's on the list. I'd rather go to Alaska than a lot of other places in the U.S. So
yeah, I think that's a good call.
Got that going for it.
It was amazing, truly fantastic. And everybody who's from Alaska, please sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and please correct everything I get wrong about Alaska along the way. You can say, hey, Seward was actually Andrew Johnson's Secretary of State by the time of the purchase. Any of those history corrections, I'm very eager for this. And this is the level of dorks that we are, Sarah, because we listen to a lot of Alaskan history podcast while driving around.
Are you going to give us Alaska facts then?
Maybe there'll be some sprinkled in, because this looks like, wow, it's just one little peninsula. Turns out even this is just gigantic to drive around, and it takes a long time. So here we go. This is the drive. It's just immediately gorgeous. Mm-hmm. This is right outside of Anchorage. You're just driving, and if you like...
What was the weather like? I need to know what the temperature was in these photos.
Yeah, temperature for this photo here, we're probably going with a solid 68 degrees and sunny.
Oof.
Very nice. It's absolutely perfect. And the entire time we're up there, everyone's saying, boy, we do not normally have weather like this. I cannot believe that you all chose to come up here right now because it is absolutely perfect. So this was like early June. It's like normally a little rainy, a little cloudy and stuff, but it was so much sun. It was just beautiful. Okay, so this is our first stop and our first drive. I'm trying to remember exactly where. Oh, this was in Girdwood, outside of Girdwood, Alaska. Let's see if we can find that. It's somewhere around here. It's not even on the map. These towns are microscopic if you didn't know. So we went to Girdwood because we're like, oh, we're going to go on a hike. And you can hike up to the top of this mountain, and then you can take a tram back. That was our big plan. And so we pulled into this parking lot, and there was like a guy walking out. I think he's like a construction guy. Mm-hmm. And we're like, hey, where do we park? Where's the trailhead? We're trying to get up this mountain. And he looked at us with such disdain and horror. Everyone was very nice up there, but he just looked at us and he goes, what are you guys trying to do? Like, we're going to hike up to the top of the mountain? And he goes, he like leaned his head into the car, looked at both of us, and then he goes, you two ever climbed a mountain before? And my wife is like, yeah, actually I have. Like, I'm from Washington. I do it. It's not so crazy. And he's like, okay. Like, it was very much the tone, like laughing, like, have at it. You park over here. So then we started to hike up there, and then somebody stopped us along the way in another piece of construction equipment. He's like, what are you two doing? No, you can't, like, there's avalanches. Like, you'll die. Like, you can absolutely not go up there. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, that guy really, like, buried the plot.
I know.
I would say about the avalanches.
Just about buried us. So the trail was closed, and we didn't end up hiking up the mountain. But it was nice to be shamed out of the gate for Alaska. So then we went to a brewery instead. And
that I feel like is much better than climbing a mountain.
It was. And it was lovely. Then we went to good God. Then we went to an animal sanctuary, which was like, a very early stop. I was just delighted to be like, immediately, let's see as many animals as possible here. And we have live photos, everybody, so this is going to be quite the tour.
Lovely.
And so this isn't a zoo, which is confusing, right? But like if there's an animal that's hurt in the wild, like if there's a grizzly bear that its mom is killed and it's a lost little cub. Are they cubs? Yeah. Then they'll send them to these. Or like they have a bald eagle who was like missing a wing. It's got its wing shut off and stuff like that. And so it's just a great place to like, hey, let's see all the wildlife from Alaska immediately, get as close as possible. And so like you can go to this barn.
With a fence between you.
That's it.
Preferably, yeah.
I was trying to shove my head through the
And they're slightly injured, so like maybe you could win in a fight.
That's what I was hoping for, yeah. So sometimes I would just stick my arm through the fence and just start swinging at a muskox just to see how far I can go. But it was crazy because like, you go in this little barn and there's moose in there and you're like a foot and a half from a moose. And I know it's like, well, I've been to a zoo before, dude, shut up. But still, like, seeing them in the somewhat Alaskan wilderness with that behind, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. This is like looking down on a moose.
Taking a little bath. Did you see any on the road?
We did. We'll get to that. Because we got spoiled.
I know they're really, they're so, what is that?
It's a muskox. Isn't it
Jesus.
Awesome? Do you all prefer, by the way, moving photos or still photos? Maybe we can jump back and forth between both. Yeah, he was adorable, and he was crawling out of this water trough, and he got his leg caught, and it was just the most adorable thing.
No.
Look how close this frickin' guy was.
Oh, he looks so. I want to touch it. I
know.
know I would die, but I want to touch it.
They were adamant that you could not touch these things. Please
I'm
do
gonna
not
risk
race
it
through the
all.
fence. They will gore you. But they're quite cool. Here's a bunch of elk. Beautiful, beautiful elk. Now we're talking.
And a bear?
That's right. They had 3 grizzly bears there. His name was BJ, or JB. I think it was JB. But it was awesome, and they had like an elite tour of this place where you could pay extra and like feed them, which I don't know exactly how that would work, but this is, you know, you get this from zoos, so it's not the most remarkable thing, but turns out when you're that close to a grizzly bear, it is just humbling. Like the ground is shaking as they're walking around. It's just amazing to be that close to something that should scare you beyond belief. Now this photo I took because I was going to tweet it and make a reference to Vulcan Raven from Metal Gear Solid, because I thought a lot about Metal Gear Solid 1 on this trip, because as you know,
Yes.
Sarah, because you're the biggest fan, Shadow
Yes.
Moses is in Alaska.
Oh. Yes.
And we learned from Vulcan Raven that snakes don't belong in Alaska.
Exactly. Nope.
But there were a lot of ravens everywhere, so do you think Kojima-san himself has been to our fair state?
I don't know. Do you mean like to Alaska or to Minnesota?
I consider we're now renamed Alaska Max, by the way. So I guess I mean Alaska.
We're all relocating to Alaska.
It'd be just awesome, wouldn't it? I hope he has. He should go up there because believe it or not, it looks like that video game. Now here's the thing, Sarah. I know you don't care about this, but I promise somebody in the community does. I went on a lot of wildlife tours up there, or just like hikes, just tours and guides overall. I'm a big fan of. And they kept saying like, hey, let us know if you have any questions. And there is an iconic line from, let's just say Master Miller, winky wink, in Metal Gear Solid, where he says, let us know if you have any questions about the flora or fauna around here. And I was going to pull one of those guys aside and just say, if you just said that, I promise you, good God, I promise you that at some point, if you say, let me know if you have any questions about the flora or fauna of Alaska, at some point you will get some nerd going on this tour and they will double your tip. I didn't. I couldn't out myself as that big of a nerd. Yeah, Alaskan field mice. I feel like you can slip those references in and it would have paid off, but you know what? To each their own. Hey, did you know that there are multiple type of buffalo/bison in the world, Sarah?
I didn't, but I know that I was deeply upset when I found out that they weren't called buffalo in America. They were called bison.
Bison, it turns out.
I felt lied to and misled.
Yeah,
And
I think that's fair. You were.
I'm still upset about it.
It turns out that there's the plains bison, and then there are these which are called wood bison. And it
They're
turns
like Pokemon types.
exactly.
They're like, this is the plains bison and these are the wood bison.
And these are even bigger than the plains bison. So these were.
But the plains bisons are already huge.
They're already huge, and these are even a little bit bigger. These are like 7 inches
at the
taller on average or
babies.
something. They were just awesome and adorable. But it turns out they thought that they were extinct, and then they're slowly repopulating it. And now there's like a decent little population of wood bison up in Alaska, which is very cool.
Aww.
That's right, Duke Faison. M bison is the 3rd variant of bison. This is a little lookout here at the end of the way and whatnot, so you
This
can
is
see.
so like picturesque.
That is a great word. This was like on our second day there, really. And it was just along that road, and you could go down to the lake, and there's just, ice chunks floating in the lake, but it's still 70 degrees out. It's just unbelievable. And there's just a huge pile of snow. I don't think quite a glacier over here on the mountain. And I was arguing adamantly, because that's what honeymoons are for, is just passionate arguing. But I was arguing like, I don't think we can top the beauty of this place. This is day 2, and I feel like this is going to be as good as Alaska gets. And it's beautiful all around. I still think like that drive south of Anchorage might have been the most beautiful stretch that I saw, maybe. Because like, how do you top this? It's everything. It's amazing. You just have to be worried about every time you're relaxing by a lake, like there's a pretty good chance that a bear is going to come up and just gore you from behind. So just keep that in mind, everybody. This is more photos of that lake. Then, okay, so here's where we are. We are driving along here. We're then going to Whittier, which is a town of about 200 people. And the crazy thing is you have to go through this mountain, this tunnel, is this right here to get to Whittier. Whittier
It's
is
a long tunnel.
It's a over 2 mile long tunnel. Yeah, they're all taking on an iPhone there, Procyon, number 6. But Whittier is maybe my favorite town that we visited because it's like 200 people, and until this tunnel was built, and it was like finalized in like 2000, but before then, the only way to access it was by boat or by plane. So it's just this weird, secluded town which has a bizarre military history because right at the start of the Cold War, they're like, this is the new headquarters for everything. So they built this gigantic, well, I'll get to that. Let's just show off the town itself. You go through the tunnel, and
cruise ship.
They have a gigantic cruise ship, which is just, I mean, how many people are on that? 3,000 people compared to a town of 200? So this is where you get onto the cruise ship, and this is the hotel that we stayed at. But this is the actual town itself. I don't know why it looks like a butt in this photo. It normally doesn't, but imagine this was like a beautiful resolution here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, beautiful mountains. There's glaciers all along here. You can get some good fried chicken over here. There's some ice cream. We went and got ice cream, and the people there were very sweet. And it was like, oh, what brought you up here and all this stuff? Because we're asking a bunch of questions about the cruise ship and how that works. And they're like, well, I mean, it's your honeymoon. That's amazing. Let's buy you a drink. We'll be at the one bar in town later. And we're like, oh, okay. We were actually planning on going there tonight. They're like, okay, cool. We'll see you there. And then they bought us a shot called a duck fart. And we took shots, and then the bartender bought us a round of beers. It was really good small town stuff.
It feels like very much like you're living in a Stardew Valley game.
Yes.
You know, where like everybody in the town at like 6 p.m. just converges on the bar or the inn.
That's it. That is what small town life in general is like, and especially in Alaska. But
was this kind of like the busy tourist season, or were you like right before it?
We were kind of right before it. So fishing season started like a week after, and I guess that's when it really takes off. But if you get in there before fishing season, like, it was wide open. I mean, it was just crazy that these towns just felt empty to me. Yeah, duck fart is Kahlua, Bailey's Irish Cream, and whiskey. And you can't really see it, I guess, too well in these photos, but the thing that's amazing about this is almost every mountain you're looking at here, and all these, there are just waterfalls from the snow melting. So at any point where you're looking, you're gonna see about 5 waterfalls that are just little seasonal waterfalls. Like this type of thing, you can kind of see it coming down there, right? It's just beautiful everywhere you look. Hey, this is us at that brewery/bar thing. And this is playing Dust Biters. Just to confirm that I do truly love this game, and so when I talk about it on the MinMax show, because I'm 8-Bit is paying us to talk about it, it's coming from a genuine place. I may be at like a 50% win ratio, Shazira. It's a good challenge all the time, but if you're looking for a 2-player tabletop game, sir, I'm serious. It's the best. It is the best. # sponsored content. This is in the History Museum. Nothing's better than an early map. What's better than an early bad map?
We love it.
It's the best. So this is a map from, when was it? I don't even know, 1700s or so? Just trying to map out Canada and then Alaska from early explorers. Okay, so this is a gigantic facility that they built at the start of the Cold War. So we're talking. It does
look very Cold War-y.
Yeah, very much so. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just house like 4,000 soldiers in here. We're gonna have a bowling alley. It's gonna be the place to be because this is gonna be our headquarters to take down Russia and all this stuff. Then there was an earthquake in 1967, which did a lot of damage, and then the Cold War ended, and now it's just abandoned and haunted. And they have like shots in there of like the destroyed bowling alley you can see and stuff. And everybody in the town now lives in the same apartment building. There's like 200 people in the town, and they all just live in this one building because it's the only place to live because there's just mountains everywhere else.
How's their internet?
That was my number one question. Great.
Like, who's your provider? What are the speeds like up here?
Well, it must be terrible. But the part that I understand is like, how does that work? Because can't the landlord or like whoever owns that building just completely screw everybody by doubling rent because there's literally nowhere else to go?
But then it's like when you have to probably also stay in that building, and half the town stays in that building. Like,
right.
I don't know. There you could break some kneecaps behind the dumpster, and who would find out?
Right. It's true. We're on another hike, and this is another beautiful lake. Now this, Sarah, it's our poop. Yeah, we thought it'd be fun to show. If you had to guess what type of animal this is, what would you guess?
Probably some kind of deer.
It's a moose poop. This is moose poop.
That seems way too small.
It's just these small little like peanut-sized pellets, but they are all over the place. Everywhere you look, there is moose poop. Like
I would never have guessed.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Moose seem way too big. That doesn't make
I
sense.
agree. I can't imagine how those things are shooting out of their butts.
High velocity. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's crazy because, like, you know, at all the little cabins we'd stay at and stuff, because we just went to little Airbnb cabins, there would be like moose poop everywhere, like directly outside our front door. And it's like, oh, if I open this door and there's a moose there, I'm going to be delighted, but also horrified. Yeah, hiking to a little thing. Oh, this is a fun part of the path that was just overflowing with water, and my shoes were not waterproof. So I had
Those weren't like hiking boots?
They're hiking boots, but they're old, and so I learned that even walking around in the snow in Minnesota, my feet just get soaked. So I had to go and find rocks and like build more of a rock path over this.
You like rebuilt it?
I rebuilt Alaska, yeah.
I like how you didn't just like go quickly, or you were like, let me just rebuild this for a second. This isn't working.
Well, I'm paying it forward for the next hiker, Sarah. So now we're traveling down. So we left Whittier, and now we're going down to Seward, Alaska.
There's like not even a road there.
The road is very small. We'll get to the lack of roads later on, but there's one road coming down to beautiful Seward, right? So this is Seward. It's just a skate park. Look at this background to a skate park. Like nothing better than this.
These kids don't know what they got.
They really don't. Then this is overlooking the water. So now this is, we got some good old-fashioned salt water happening here. We're kind of looking out at the Gulf of Alaska and the overall ocean from beautiful Seward. Compared to the Prince William Sound.
Did you have to like buy anything like groceries or anything? Were they all like crazy expensive?
Things are kind of expensive up there. Yeah. I guess real estate isn't crazy expensive, but
yeah. Everything else is.
Yeah, like, you know, it's the type of place where like a hamburger at a bar will be like $17. You know, like that type of thing. Yeah, this is apparently where the Iditarod started. This was originally the 0 point, and it would go up there. This was a barbecue place there that was very good. I don't know how you can have a Texas-style barbecue in Alaska and just like have it open air and make that work financially, but solid. This is the downtown Seward, which is maybe like 2,000 people, but
is this like the place?
This is the place to be.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cool. So then we went on a hike up to the Exit Glacier. And can you guess, Sarah, who named Exit Glacier Exit Glacier?
I cannot guess.
Why, of course, it was the singer Jewel's grandfather. Because apparently Jewel is from Homer, Alaska, which we went to a little bit later, and her grandfather was exploring the Harding ice fields, and then he climbed down the Exit Glacier, so therefore called it the Exit Glacier.
Are you just allowed to name things, or did Jewel just get famous and she was like, no, my grandpa named this? Like,
I'm confused. It's unclear.
I love all those caution bear signs, by the way, in the background.
Everywhere.
Bears, bears, bears.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, that's very relevant here because.
Did you have bear spray or anything?
Well, let me tell you about this bear spray.
Or were you literally just gonna fight the bears?
I was ready to. So how it worked is this was like a guided tour because we're hiking onto this glacier. And so this is Isaac, our
I was gonna
tour
say, that
guide.
guy looks very competent.
Oh, he was very competent. He was the best. And it was like a small group of us. There were 4 of us. And so we were all getting like kitted up at like this, I don't know, where you met them at their headquarters or whatever before you headed out on the hike. And so they'd give you like, okay, these are the clamp-ons, those like icy boots that you put on your feet and stuff for hiking on the glacier. Here's all this equipment to kind of walking through all this. Here's your helmet. And then somebody from the front desk was like, Isaac the guide, could we talk to you for a second? And he's like, sure. So he went and talked for a while, then came back, and he's like, all right, everybody, here's what we're working with. The group right before you, they were bluff charged by a black bear on the path repeatedly, which does not typically happen.
I love how calm he is. He's like, all right, guys, the group before you almost died.
Right.
Let's keep it tight.
Yeah, so he's like, so the Park Service came in and they shut down our only trail to the glacier because of this bear on a rampage there. And he's like, now here's the thing. Maybe the bear will move and they'll open the trail back up. But we're gonna go ahead and take that chance and just drive there and hike this trail, but there might be an angry bear there. And he said that he sees a bear on this hike 9 times out of 10. But just this one time, because the bear had cubs, it apparently was very aggressive, which is...
This bear is angry.
It is very angry. So I'm scared of bears. So that was a terrifying idea of like, okay, we're going to go and try to wander into this bear's territory.
I mean, I feel like it's normal to be afraid of bears. I feel like that's yeah.
Thank you. So this is starting out the hike then, looking back, getting higher and higher. Maybe not the best pictures overall. Oh, then this is me on the glacier. Turns out we got there and the trail was back open. So they're like, have at it.
Wow, they were pretty serious about this with your little helmets on and your...
Yeah, they were surprisingly serious because it turns out it's a big icy slope. And it's very easy to get hurt there. Like apparently somebody years ago, like the only injury they say that they've had, which I don't know about this, but I guess it was some woman on the glacier and she slipped and fell and the glacier's just like jaggy ice and stuff. Good God. And it cut her hand open like to the bone.
Oh.
So now you have to wear gloves if you're on the glacier is their rule. But anyways, it turns out that the bear wasn't on the path, but we ran into like this big group of Chinese tourists, and they were all parked on the path, and we're like, what's going on? They're like, there's a bear right there. And so we just stopped and we don't know what to do. And so our tour guide had to be like, okay, well, I've got bear spray. Let's go together as one big group. And so it was like even closer, even like this bear was right there and I still didn't see it. And so by the end of this hike, I was jonesing for that bear. I wanted to get
where's
bluff
the bear?
drives by
I
the
haven't
bear.
seen one single bear.
Yeah, we saw him in the zoo, but like, I want to see this freaking bear out there. No bears on this hike, even though everyone around us said there's a very scary bear. Right, just missed it.
I guess the bear was afraid of you. He was like, nah, that's Ben. I'm afraid of Ben's.
That's right.
Absolutely.
1v1 me bears is common. So then this is on the glacier. Now, here's a weird one where...
if you flipped it, and just cut out the mountains, this could look very cool.
That's really smart.
If you just and then you just like block out the mountains. It looks like you're climbing. I mean, it's not the best climbing form.
I disagree. What are you doing? Thing?
Look at him climb.
So what this is our tour guide's like, hey, look, I like to do this. No one else likes to do this, but there are like there's bits of flowing water from this glacier, and so you can. Did
you lick it?
Yeah, he's like, you all got to drink some glacier water because it's the purest water on Earth. It's like, yeah, man, that does sound good. So he's like, just go over there and do a push-up over this crevasse and scary river and go take a lick. And so that's what I did. But my push-up form is normally better than this, I swear. But it turns out that when I got up to this glacier, genuine terror. Like, because the part that you can't see is it's a slippery, scary slope, and also there was like a 40-mile-an-hour wind. And so you're on an ice slope with a strong wind. I wanted to get off that thing so fast. I was literally, knees were like numb, shaking. I was so ready to go. My wife was all about it. Like, oh, this is the best adventure ever. I love it. Like, she was just eager for this adventure, and I could not have been more terrified. They gave me some sunglasses.
I was gonna say, are those yours? Those look like women's sunglasses.
Yeah, they gave them to me at the shop or whatever, because they said, you're gonna need these. I'm like, I don't wear sunglasses at all.
You know better coming from Minnesota.
I don't wear sunglasses at all. And they're like, you need this. It's gonna be a lot of snow, and it's gonna be really bright. I'm like, I'm from Minnesota. I never wear sunglasses in the winter. I don't do it. Like, you're gonna need it. So I put them on, and I feel like it wasn't needed at all. This is the tour guide apparently took a picture of himself on her phone, which is good. So the scary thing about hiking on a glacier is they give you a very serious pep talk of like, hey, we've only mapped out the trail for this certain point, so you cannot get off the trail. Just follow exactly where we're going. You have to step like this, like sideways, so you don't slip down the freaking glacier. Try not to fall despite this wind going 4 miles an hour. And then also, it's like, whatever you do, do not step on the snow, which I didn't factor in. Like, stay on the ice, because underneath the snow, there might just be this gigantic crevasse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you fall into a crevasse?
I didn't, but they really wanted us to look in them. And I was like, I'm good. Like, no, just get right up on the edge. Just climb to the edge and look in that crevasse. See how far down it goes forever. And it's like, oh my God.
You could be that one guy that got stuck in one and like chewed his own arm off or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. And they had some that were like, the size of a body. I don't know, like, maybe 3 feet across, just like these circular pits that would just go into the glacier. And it was horrifying to consider, like, if I fell in that. And then the guide's like, yeah, and some of them have water at the bottom. Like, it was just the most horrifying idea possible. So it was scary. There's a big ice cave underneath the edge.
Yeah, this is very this feels like a list of ways to die.
That's what Alaska is.
They're literally just listing out ways you could die in Alaska.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Now, here's something that was weird. So when you're driving up on this exit glacier, they have signs on the road, and they have years on them. So as you're approaching the glacier, they literally have a year that's like 1750. And it's like, what is that? It's like, that is where the glacier was at that time. They can tell from the forest, apparently, like the age of the forest and something. And so it was a weird thing because we were driving up and it was like 1700s, but we kept talking about like, oh, these glaciers, they're receding. And so I asked our guide, like, how does that work? Like, I always just thought it was like a global warming thing, but even in the 1700s, the glacier was receding that much? And I think he took that as me, like, questioning global warming.
Wow. Did you tell him you were from Minnesota?
I mean, I guess so. But it turns out, did you know this? That, like, the glaciers have been receding since, like, the 1700s?
I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, which
Right.
I have a big glacier background.
Sure.
Since it's all, like, a glacier
It was
area.
carved
But,
by
like,
the
I
glacier,
knew they receded, but I guess...
So it turns out that it's like, yeah, with the last mini ice age, which, when was that? I don't even know, 1700s or whatever? That the glaciers have been melting since then, but obviously with global warming, like they've been speeding up a lot is the big thing, right? But it was a confusing thing to talk about because like, I just want to know more about that idea of like, they've always been melting? I didn't know that. But they said that like, it's melting so fast now that even next year, they're like, we don't know if we can give tours on the glacier
Now you're
anymore.
gonna have to tell, like, when society collapses and you're sitting around the fire with all the future generations, you're gonna have to tell them about the glaciers that you climbed on.
Right. There was a thing called a glacier once that was really crazy.
It was scary. The crevasses were scary, but the water was fresh.
You should be thankful that they're all gone.
Yeah, because I didn't really like it.
It's the worst. This is a wildlife tour boat. You know, the Spirit of Adventure that we got on. And so it was a wildlife and glacier tour boat. So now we are taking the boat and we're going down here, y'all. So we're checking out this entire coastline. Whales and glaciers and everything else. Sarah.
Sorry.
You can't spoil where this is going. Rich Bad at Games says, I stuck my butt up in the air and took a sip of the glacier. That's what I'll tell the grandkids. So a little cheat is if you're looking at stuff, every photo through your phone looks terrible, but I had binoculars. And so every time there's a circular thing, that's me taking a picture through my phone, through the binoculars like a real dork. But then you get cool shots like of this glacier, which I think is beautiful. And so this entire boat ride was just amazing. Just glaciers all over the place. And then, Sarah, look at this. Suddenly it was like, heads up, everybody. There are orcas. Because they never know where the whales are going to be. And so it's very fun to just be on this boat and go around. Ooh, there we go. And it feels, honestly, like Pokemon Snap. Because you're just going around and suddenly it's like, okay, orca on the left. And you try and get a picture real quick, then it goes away. It's like, oh, another animal on the right. And you try and get that picture. And now I think I'm a fan of these photo safari ideas because it feels like Pokemon Snap in a way I never expected.
That's such a good photo.
Thank you. And there's little babies. And the crazy part is because the orcas are so, which by the way, another fun fact, the tour captain guy, he just called them killer whales, which I'm like, oh, do we still call them that? He's like, actually, people started calling them again. Like, scientists started to go back to killer whale, which is a weird
Because
pivot.
people weren't quite understanding how murderous they were.
Maybe. It could be.
People were like, it's just an orca, and they didn't understand the murderous intent behind it.
Exactly. But the fun thing is, I guess they're like so distinct with the markings that you can track who they are. So they have a big book that I'll get to later where the tour guides all are able to track, and they have all of these orcas named. And they're able to be like, oh, this is pod A27, and they've been around in this area since the 80s. It's just like crazy. And
they have Instagrams? Like
they do, yep, that's right.
Like whale Instagrams?
Well, literally there was like they said, okay, here's this killer whale over here. that killer whale was actually in the Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1986. And we know that because we're able to track them because of their markings and stuff. It's just like crazy specificity, which is really fun. Yeah, this is me being cool, looking at stuff. Good God. Then they're like, everyone, left side of the boat, look at this. Freaking porpoises.
Porpoises?
Which I didn't even know were going to be there as an option, and then they were just swimming along the side of the boat.
Look at how beautiful that water is, too.
It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, everybody, Alaska, you should be paying us for this video. Where's the sponsorship from Alaska?
We're actually the Alaska Tourism
exactly.
Outreach for Minnesota.
So yeah, porpoises, they were amazing, and they were so fast. I guess they said they're like one of the fastest animals in the sea. I forget, they gave speeds, but I was just blown away.
Speedy boys.
Yeah. This is a cool island that we passed by that had a bunch of puffins on it, and it reminded me of the Force Awakens island that Luke goes to, you know, with the porgs. But it's just like, cool, look at this. Oh, and there's a bunch of seals down here, I think. But just it's incredible looking. And then, hey, lo and behold, even more orcas along the way. Oh, you can load slowly.
Going after the seals, no.
Yep, just brutal mauling. Oh, A&T Clark, thanks for the big sub. Then we're coming up on, I forget the name of this exact glacier, but hey, let's go check out this glacier. Let's get real close to it. So we're slowly working our way up closer and closer to this glacier. And the entire time we're getting closer, you know, chunks are falling off of it and splashing into the water, which is amazing. This is another glacier over there on the side. Pretty cool stuff. Us getting closer and closer. Believe it or not, it's pretty cold when you get this close to a glacier. Chunks floating all over the place. Like, oh, I just thought that looked cool with that mountain over there. Then he's like, oh, black bear on the left. And so then, with the boat, he just whipped it around to get a closer look at this black bear. And I got to see the black bear like crawl up along the shore and like into the mountains. It was unbelievable.
This looks like some kind of like new trendy Instagram filter that you've invented with the camera up to the binoculars.
I recommend it. Yeah, you should just take pictures of your friends that way and really see some pores. So when you're getting closer to the glacier, oh, I think there's seals on those. I think that is what I was going for. But it's just ice chunks everywhere, right? And so the captain was like kind of stressed out because you have to dodge the big ones or we'll get Titanicked out there straight up. But I'll show you in a bit what was diabolical about it. So just remember that there's ice chunks everywhere here, everybody. Oh, and this is like glacial water versus seawater and the different lines in there. But then the fun thing was like, it's sad but also fun to see at the same time, is then you're just watching this glacier waiting for big chunks to fall off so you can take a photo of it. Even though it's like, oh, it's sad that this glacier is dying, but at the same time, it's really fun to watch big chunks of stuff fall into the ocean. Like, who doesn't like this? Other than if you're really concerned about the environment. But like, it's just huge. And there'd be like, you know, waves coming out from this thing. And we had to stay like a quarter mile away, I think, just so our boat wasn't destroyed by potentially chunks of this glacier falling off. But that was really fun to watch, even if it's sad in its own way. So then they said, all right, everybody, you might have noticed that there's a bunch of ice chunks floating in the water. Well, we had a net out there, our crew, and we've collected chunks of the glacier.
I didn't realize so much of Alaska was going to be you drinking the ice and like sipping on the melting glaciers.
Yeah, I should have mentioned I didn't see the black bear on the trail because I ate it too quickly. I just kind of consumed everything it had. So they said, hey, everybody, we got glacier ice here. Come on down and get a glacier margarita for $6. It's like, that is the best idea ever. So then here's me loading up on a glacier margarita. It tasted like shit.
When they ask where did all the glaciers go, just send them this photo. Like, sorry, Ben had it in his margarita.
It was really good though. But people say it's messed up. It's just gonna melt into the ocean otherwise, right? You're doing humanity a favor by not making the ocean.
I mean, it is actively helping to cool the ocean, and now you're just drinking it.
No, but I think I wrote for like a little feedback card at the end. I said, whoever had that idea of collecting ice and selling margaritas, give them a raise, because that is the best freaking idea I've ever heard in my life. And then on the way back from the glacier, they're like, oh, we didn't think we were going to see one. We don't know what it's doing right here, but now we have a humpback whale, everybody. So there's just a humpback whale by the boat. You get to see its cool tail. So I think I'm going to become a whale guy, Sarah. I think I'm just going to be really into whales forever because I think they might be the coolest thing that we just don't think about enough. You know?
So now, is that going to be your white woman animal? Your middle-aged white woman animal? You're going to go with whales?
Yeah, I know.
So you're going to have like the bathroom with all the little like whale.
Right.
Going all over the place.
There's a bumper sticker on my car. My other car is a whale. Yeah, I think I'm just going to be a big whale guy. So we can look forward to that new show plus in the future. Did I make it to Ketchikan? I don't think we stopped in Ketchikan. We were only on the Kenai Peninsula. Where is Ketchikan? The name sounds familiar, but I don't think so. Good guy. So it was beautiful. This is 40 feet, and there's a weather station up here. And I took a picture of it because they said that the weather station was damaged and almost destroyed just a couple years ago in the winter because a 40-foot wave came and hit it.
Oh, God.
So can you imagine this in the winter? Yeesh. And then, hey, everybody.
Guess
We've
what?
got more little whales and babies, and this was a different pod. It's just unbelievable. You see me trying to line up all this stuff through the binoculars. Good old-fashioned splash.
So speedy.
I know.
It's like you can see, like obviously you could Google whale imagery for days and days and days, but like when you capture it yourself, it's like something entirely different, you know? Like, you can see incredible whale stuff, but when you actually filmed it, it's different.
Totally. And like this was all I wanted, was like to see them in the water, and they got so close that you could actually see them swimming underwater by the boat.
They were sizing you up, seeing if they could eat you.
I think so. And here's the thing too. I felt like a dweeb, but I was like, you know what? You only live once, and I think you gotta do it. Like every time you see a whale, like I would actually say something. You know, you gotta go like, just wow. You gotta exclaim something. Because what are you gonna do? Just sit there quietly and look at a whale in the wild and be too cool for school? No, you gotta go say.
You're never too cool to like and be amazed by animals.
That's right. That's my policy.
Wow, that boat is going.
Oh yeah, she was flying all right. Okay, this cool shot. This is us back in Seward at a brewery, believe it or not. And then like the next morning is all cloudy, which I thought was lame. But then when the mountains are coming through the clouds, it looks even cooler. Oh, this is a little hike. And then down to this area. Oh, that's me looking cool.
It's an adventurer, you know?
Yeah.
He does this all the time. He's always hiking.
This is kind of my default state.
You can find him in the mountains.
That's right. I'm making whale calls, sipping up glaciers, or just looking and thinking, you know? Yeah, more from that hike. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Oh, this is...
Is that the Airbnb?
This is our next Airbnb, and this is... Oh, God, where was this one? Well, I guess... Okay, so we're at Seward. Then we spent a day driving up from Seward and drove all the way over here on the one road that exists to get down to Homer, Alaska.
So you just said, let's just drive around everything.
Yep. It's all mapped out.
It's the only road, I assume.
So all you got. And so this cabin was like in the background. It was like moose poop everywhere in the backyard of some other house.
I like how you're like, I cannot emphasize enough the sheer amount of moose poop.
It was everywhere. And the weird thing about this cabin is like I walked into it and I'm like, this cabin's uneven. My wife's like, I don't notice anything. And then I took a can of beer and set it on the ground. It was like, it just like completely rolled to one side. And then they had like a little shower, and taking a shower, like it was so uneven, the water was just like rushing over onto the floor. So as you're taking a shower, you had to like kick the water back up to the drain because the cabin was just completely wank.
Shifting. Yeah, that looks like a cabin, all right.
It was a cute. We smoked a lot, but just such a cute little thing. Then this is Homer, Alaska, everybody. Oh, Shooty, do you know Homer? Yeah, it's very cool. So it's right at the tip here, and it's known for the Homer Spit, which is just like a little strip of land coming out here. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, look at that.
And so they just have these cool little shops along the way, good stuff like that, good comedy. Salty Dog Bar, which is a good old-fashioned dive bar. It's one of those where they got like the dollars pinned everywhere, you know? All that stuff. Oh, here we go. Some pizza, cool shops along there looking at the ocean. This is halibut, which there's not a good frame of reference, I guess, but these are freaking huge. I guess like the chair in the background, think of that. Like that's how big this thing is. Yeah, it was unbelievable to see halibut everywhere because they're really, just Google halibut, everybody, and look at this fish because it's one of those fish where it has two eyes on one side of its head because they sit along the bottom of the water and then they can look up. So they're just the freakiest looking fish. Let's see if I can find a good picture of it. Hell of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're
those are
freaking huge. And
I caught that in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, exactly. And like this isn't an abstract drawing. Like,
I don't
this
like
is actually...
that. I don't know if I'd want to. I know it's probably a good fish, you know, like it's like a white fish, but like I don't know. I don't like to see the face.
It's weird to see, yeah. But correct me if this is weird, Sarah, but like the women in Alaska were just all really cool and rugged. Like this is like a 19-year-old woman back here, and she was cleaning fish and just looked like the coolest SOB I've ever seen in my life.
You gotta be. You think people like me could survive Alaska? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
They don't have internet, no internet speeds.
That's right. This is a pizza place, wood-fired pizza place, just looking out over the ocean. It's like super cool looking. This is a big old boat that was somebody's house they turned into outside of Homer. This is, just kind of an overlook where they said that there's going to be moose everywhere, but we went there and we did not see a moose. We saw a plane.
A single moose.
All right. But I waited for a moose for a long time because I wanted to see one in the wild, and then we were heading out of this place, and somebody said, hey, there's a moose right there. So it was like, this is fenced off because of the airport area here outside of Homer, and then...
The moose was flying the plane.
That's right.
So chat. He just got off from his flight.
So it was beautiful, and I finally saw a moose in the wild, and he was my best friend. And then we're driving, and then a little baby moose ran across the road.
This is how I've encountered moose, in the road while I've been driving.
Wait, in Wisconsin you've seen a moose?
No, just like going to and from Yellowstone.
Really?
Driving. Yeah, you're literally just trying to drive, and there will just be a giant moose in the middle of the road, and you just have to wait.
They're so goddamn big.
They're so big. Like, they're bigger than cars, like, and vans and SUVs.
Yeah,
they're huge.
They're wild. Yeah. So there's a little baby moose that ran out before this one that I didn't get a picture of, but it was just like all wobbly leg, like blah, 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 and then the big mama was chasing after it. But so that was cool to actually see a moose right there. Then, what is this? We went on another wildlife tour. Yeah, went on another wildlife tour. This one was focused on birds. It was less cool than the first one, but it was all right. Little sea otters. Yep. Which, by the way, sea otters are freaking huge. I had no idea. They're gigantic. I thought otters were all the same size, but sea otters are big. They're like 5 feet or something. A bunch of bald eagles. They're everywhere. More sea otters. Now, this is the captain of that boat, and she was a cool British lady. And she was like, they let people come in and just kind of like hang out and ask questions if you want or whatever. And this guy was standing here, and you would have thrown him overboard, Sarah. It was a very good moment where...
I already don't like his knee placement in her personal space.
Big time.
Like, that's already pissing me off, like, sir.
Big time. And so
two steps back.
She was talking into the mic to the entire boat and explaining the migration patterns of birds or whatever the hell was going on, and steering the boat at the same time. And he cut her off, and he said, hey, you're going over some kelp right now? You're running over some kelp in the boat? And she gave him a look that was just the best evil glare I've seen, to like interrupt this captain of a boat to be like, you're going over a plant. Like, she knows she's on top of it.
Legally, as a captain, I think you can like execute people.
Yeah, absolutely.
On board.
Well, only if you make them walk the plank, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just like the ultimate
straight into the brig
moment. Cool, colorful things. So this is us. We took the boat from Homer and went to Seldovia, which is an old...
That sounds very Scandinavian.
Yeah, I think it's from Age of Ultron. But the thing is, there's no roads here. You can only get here by boat or plane. So it's just like this weird little kind of touristy town, which is almost impossible to get to. And then we wandered around the town.
That's where I want to live. Somewhere that's really hard to get to.
And they had internet. And then in this back area, they had just a ton of eagles there. Like, whoa!
Oh, there they were.
There they were.
It's the eagle.
But it was very crazy because, like, in this area, I guess I didn't get it. Well, you can kind of see some of them. But all these bald eagles here, I counted 9 bald eagles, like, in the same spot. Like, it was really, really wild. So that's that. That's another little walk we went on there. This is a boat here, Sarah. This is a boat.
Yes.
But the captain pointed it out, which was very helpful, because it doesn't really look like anything. But she's like, that boat is the coolest boat in the harbor. This was...
Does it sink to pick up other boats?
That's right. No, better. Yep. It was a mine-sweeping boat in World War II.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And they've just kept redesigning it. This was in the ice cream shop.
What the fuck?
I'll let you pause it and read it if you really want to.
Yes, my grandpa did ride a whale through the bay just east of here, and that is a beluga whale, I believe.
It's a beluga whale. So they tell the story of apparently there was a beach beluga whale, and this guy, this grandpa back in the day, tried, 1966, were trying to push it off from shore, and they managed to do it, and it was free, and then he said, well, I can't throw away this opportunity, and then he jumped on the beluga whale to try and ride it. It didn't really work. He fell off it, and then the beluga whale beached itself again. Men
really have nothing but the audacity. Like, I'm sorry, but this story does not make me appreciate what your grandpa tried to do here.
Right. Well, I don't know if this helps it then. It beached itself again.
Yeah.
And then somebody came, and then they killed it and ate it, and he ate its blubber.
Because they beach themselves because they're dying.
Oh.
And sick.
Well, wouldn't that be fun though then? Just to have a little fun ride if you were dying to have somebody come by and... let's see, this is a good old-fashioned flapjack.
Imagine you're on your deathbed, Ben, and somebody throws you out and tries to ride you, like...
Honestly, it could be worse. He died doing what he loved. This is some old cool Orthodox church. Here's a question.
That's spooky as...
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't like that.
Orthodox church, they got the like extra bar on the cross. Can anybody answer this question? Like, do they think that there was a bar on Christ's cross that normal Christians? But it doesn't like, and then the weird angle, like, or is it just
so he could never get a grip? I don't know.
Okay. This was okay. So now we're heading back up. Everybody. We are in, of course, the one and only place that Soldotna, this other city along the way back. This is maybe like 5,000 people in Soldotna or so, but they have like a bunch of old cabins there, and there's a whole museum about the homesteading back then, because turns out in like the 50s, if you were former soldier, you could just go up here and, hey, if you stay on this land for 7 months, we'll give you just a boatload of acres. So if you can survive the night for 7 months, we'll give you like 100 acres or the hell it was.
You can survive Alaska, you can have it.
Yep. And so everyone just built these tiny, crappy cabins in the 50s and just stayed up there.
I feel like I can smell that room.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I can smell like the wood and like just the mildew.
Mm-hmm. And they had the old books there.
Of course you would take a photo of this one.
I don't understand why that would be funny, but...
I don't see where anyone would see the humor in this.
No, moving on, everybody. Though this is another little Airbnb cabin that we stayed at there. This is the water. Oh, this is... I was like, why did I take a picture of this?
You're like, this is some nice water.
It's pretty good water. So we took a canoe trip then, and they dropped us off in this lake. And the lake was huge, and literally there was one tent is all we saw along there. And the rest of it, we just had this lake completely to ourselves in a canoe. It was just ridiculous and gorgeous. And everybody kept telling us that if we went any other day, we would have died. But apparently this was like the one day where the lake was like glass.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah.
With this honeymoon.
Yeah, because like it turns out if you go on this lake and there's like any amount of breeze, like it'll capsize your boat. I was like, I don't think so. So anyways, that looks like a cigar, but I think it's a Kit Kat, just to be clear. Mm-hmm. I'm still cool. So then we took this down a river and kayaked through the wilderness, and again, just no people. It was just ridiculous. And didn't see any big wildlife, which is a bummer. Oh, thanks, DJ Tommy Pizza. Yeah, we already went through the Hind D picture. I'm sorry. This is an ice cream place. Oh, best case scenario, Sarah. I walked in here to buy some ice cream, and the person behind the counter said, hey, I accidentally made the wrong ice cream. Do you want this ice cream cone, which is chocolate and raspberry, for free? And it was like a huge double stacked thing. I was like, absolutely, thank you. And then just got to turn around and walk back out and take their free ice cream. And then I was put in jail for stealing that ice cream. Just cool guy stuff.
Always with the large chairs.
Yeah, they're fun. Oh, and then there was like a music festival happening, and a bunch of food trucks and stuff, and it was like the best day ever. And they said, don't bring your northerns around here, which is funny because up there, a northern is an invasive species. Yeah, we're very into northerns in Minnesota. Look at this thing.
Hello?
This is just a dog walking around.
Oh my god.
How did they do this, Sarah? This is my question for you.
I mean, they make dyes for pets.
Do you have to like tranquilize them to put it on?
Some dogs are really good at sitting still. Mine is not, but some dogs are.
You're saying this dog just sat here?
Or it could be airbrushed too.
So if you just get really close, maybe you
I
wouldn't
can't
have to
believe you went to Alaska and saw a tiger.
I know.
I can't believe you didn't tweet this.
I haven't tweeted any pictures
Went
from
to
Alaska yet.
saw a tiger.
To be fair, I shared it for people in the backstage past here.
Oh.
So it's a perk of jumping up to that $10 tier is you get a sneak peek of the slideshow from Alaska. Then we were driving back up because, okay, we're in Soldotna and we have to get back up to Anchorage for our last day here. And this is the only road. And then pulled off real quick to go on a hike. I just tried climbing this mountain as high as we could, which was beautiful and amazing and all that fun stuff.
Wow, if you ever write a biography, that has to be your photo. Go back.
Think?
This is it.
This is it?
Yep, this is it.
But then the biography is just called like my 3 favorite Mario games.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we got back on the road after this hike and I started driving, and then traffic started slowing down and then came to a standstill, and it got to the point where my wife then just like got out and just started walking to see what was going on with traffic. Turns out there was a 5-car pileup on the only road off of the entire peninsula. And so she's like, well, how long is it going to take? They're like, it might be a while. Okay. So then we had nothing going on, so we just went and like read by a river and read in a car and stuff. Because I was reading by the river for a while, but the mosquitoes were bad, and plus it's kind of scary to like read with your back turned to just a grizzly bear attacking you at any moment, you know? So then we just read and waited for this to clear up, and hiked around a little bit more and saw beautiful rivers, all this fun stuff. By the way, this was Thursday. So
Got it.
I was trying to get back to Anchorage so I could upload the podcast to the audio feeds, because it was on YouTube, like the raw transfer from Twitch, because Jeffem sent it over. But that was my stressor. Is like, this is the one day this week that I have to do work, and I need to get Wi-Fi.
The 5-car Alaska pileup, the min-max pileup.
Yeah, it turns out
everything's burning.
It turns out it was 4.5 hours before they were able to clear that one road. So it was 4.5 hours of just like sitting around reading and walking around a bit and whatnot. And so if you're wondering why the podcast was uploaded really late last Thursday, there was a car accident. On the one
in
road.
Alaska.
Yeah.
On the one road.
This is what you wouldn't expect for all those people downloading that.
Who would have known?
So that we finally got to this, we went to one restaurant and they wouldn't let us use their Wi-Fi. We were like Mary and Joseph. We were turned away.
You were looking for a
cool
someplace
hotspot
to get some Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And then we went to this other restaurant and their Wi-Fi wasn't working, and I literally had to beg them to let me on their staff Wi-Fi so I could upload the podcast.
I can't imagine what that looked like. The absolute groveling. You don't understand, I'm a podcaster.
This is a big deal. People need to know about the Summer Game Fest reactions.
You left and they were like, we're never letting podcasters in this place ever again.
So this is me, because the internet was too slow. So what I could do, like I couldn't download the podcast, like the audio version, to upload it. So I had to remote into my computer back home. So this is me looking at my 2 monitors back there to try and like, with font you couldn't read because it was so small, try and get in there and upload the podcast. And so that's
this was Thursday, so this was the same day my flight got canceled.
Oh, yeah. It was the cursed day.
I was also having my 5-car pileup on a one-way road situation back in Minnesota.
An emotional 5-car pileup. I want to go into all that stuff on the next episode of the podcast, Sarah.
Oh, God.
So this was, the place where I managed to upload the podcast on Thursday for everybody.
Did you leave them a nice review for letting you use their Wi-Fi, Ben?
No, I didn't. I probably should.
Ben.
I probably should have. Well, I wanted to thank them, but we came back out of like the little back area where I was uploading it, and just no one was in the store. No one was there. It was like, okay, goodbye. Then we're in Anchorage, and there's this silly thing. And then in Anchorage again, there was another moose on the side of the road. And look at this. Look at this shot. A moose
Seaplane.
with a beautiful seaplane. Professor Oak would have lost his mind over this one, I think.
The framing.
That's right. Oh, are there 2 moose in the same shot? I'll double the score. So that's it, everybody. That's a trip to the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska. I would thoroughly recommend it. to everybody. Truly better than I could have imagined.
So then did you fly out of Anchorage,
yeah.
I assume, then?
Yep. There we go, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.
10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
And that's why I feel enlightened now, Sarah. I'm a new man.
And was your favorite part the whales?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's tough to beat seeing like a humpback whale in the wilderness. It was amazing. So yeah, this is why I've been in a good mood, because it was a very, very lovely time. And I recommend everybody go. And Sarah, you need to go up there.
I really like tundra biomes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it. Well, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week if you vote for it. If you go to patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's, you can vote for us to continue Vacation Tour Slideshow, and we'll come up with somebody else's vacation where they have a lot of photos, and we'll go through it all. Sarah, you seem scoffing. Do you not have...
I think we need to do Kyle's Hawaii one, because if I have to see one more photo of Kyle from Hawaii, like, I need to be walked through the trip.
Yeah, I think that's a good contender. We'll figure out something. And if you just enjoy this type of content, if you're upset that those big sites like IGN and GameSpot aren't giving you the vacation tours that you demand, you can help support what we're doing here at MinMax by going over to patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's. We appreciate it. And if you jump in right now at any tier, you can compete in Trivia Tower, the grand round this Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, and win $1,000 just by knowing a thing or two about video games. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate your support and appreciate you watching this different type of video. Sarah, did you learn a thing or two?
I enjoyed it.
Good.
I definitely want to go to Alaska now.
Please do. Please, everybody do. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time, maybe for Vacation Tour Slideshow. Bye. Videos like this are possible because MinMax is a completely independent outlet for games supported solely by the community. The only reason we don't have to create condescending clickbait is because folks like you click on the subscribe button or check out the benefits over on patreon.com/MinMax with 2 N's. We think that we're the most efficient gaming outlet out there, so please take a look at what we've done and imagine what more we can do with your support.